This is the absolute best defense against a deep over-under pass. We got this, my instructor Rob got this from his instructor, Caio Terra. And Caio is one of the absolute best at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. This was absolutely crazy to us because what happens when we're trying to frame our opponent here, if Stephan hasn't crossed the center line yet, I'm able to, with a strong elbow connection to my side, be able to frame. So if Stephan's driving into me right now, this is strong structure for me. But if he crosses the center line and his head is all the way over on the other side of my hip, there's no way for me to be able to drive without creating a massive open elbow here, and this is very weak for me. And so what Caio taught us to do was to reach our arm in front and reach to grab towards the lat, grabbing up at the gi here, and using our bicep against our opponent's forehead to extend and rotate our arm like this with our shoulders to be able to break his posture and move him back. See how my hips have turned up on my side? What this is going to allow me to do is now bring my knee underneath Stephan's elbow, which is going to start creating kind of like a key lock effect, external rotation of the shoulder. Stephan's not going to like it, he's going to pull his leg up. We're able to start moving ourselves back to a half guard shell or straight to guard. This is the absolute most powerful movement I've experienced against this pass.
It's so frustrating when you hit this and somebody does this on you. It's like, I'm there, I'm not there at all.
Yeah, key part of this is using our whole body and having an anchor point for our arm. We're not just putting our bicep in front of our opponent's head and just going like this, trying to do like some sort of awful strike with it. I'm anchoring to the gi, to the lat or armpit if it's no gi, and I'm using this to extend. If I can, you can generate base off the ground to help turn yourself so that your whole body is moving. It's bent here because it doesn't have the space to be able to be straight out. And Stephan's head's here. As I move and lock my arm out so that my elbow becomes in the same line with my wrist, elbow, and shoulder, Stephan's head has moved to accommodate for that change. So as we're here, I'm stuck. I'm just going to be placing my arm in front of his forehead like this and anchoring it. So if I have to, I'll anchor it up here. When I'm looking at doing, this arm could be doing whatever it needs to be doing for him at the hip, kind of controlling here. Base onto the ground here, if you don't feel like you're strong enough, and start extending, gripping into the gi and pulling the gi and pulling your elbow there to start redirecting. We could start to look to go over, but because the space created, which we'll show in the next angle, it's very easy for me to start bringing my knee underneath and then bring myself back to half guard, and then obviously bringing this arm in front to add more layers of frames. So here, I can't push Stephan's head from here. It's too weak. I go in front, covering his eyes and forehead. You can see how this already starts to tilt his head back, breaking his posture. I grip up at his armpit, so if this was no-gi, plant my foot in base, so I'm going to be able to turn my hips and generate force here. If I just tried to do this, nothing. It gets pinned as a lever. If I try to do just this, it's still going to be an uncomfortable battle for Stephan, but he's got his whole body against my arm. Oh, and this is sucking too. So as we're here, and he's really driving into me aggressively, base, grip, move my hip as I do this. Now look at this space here. So Stephan just keeps his arm in a little bit longer. If I bring this knee in like this, it starts to get in front of his elbow, kind of like a mirror lock, where his elbow is starting to go out inside and the shoulder externally rotates. So very uncomfortable. Could submit some guys. Stephan's going to pull his arm out because he knows what to do. And so immediately we're placing a frame against his chest and then bringing my other foot out to come back to a guard. Guard of your choice. Once again, we're going to be breaking down the half guard shell in more detail so that you guys will actually have some skills in being able to control that position and be able to retain it. But this is 100% like my go-to if I'm not shutting it down at really early stages, which I would still recommend you do first. We don't want to let our opponent get too deep on us. But when somebody has solidified that over-under passing position, this is your number one defense.